Well, hey, we're back.
Back.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 17 of the Slowest Fast RC podcast. We have quite a few things to go over tonight, including two special guests, maybe possibly a third for a little bit. So how's everyone doing tonight so far?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Alex?
Doing good. I'm a little tired. You guys see my cool shit? I got it this one.
What is that?
Did you actually buy those?
Yes.
Because I saw them sitting in your thing, but I don't know where they came from.
They're old school, like Walmart grade RC cars, but it's Dale Earnhardt.
Wow.
And I'm a huge Dale Earnhardt fan. And Tony, ACS, has had these sitting in his shop. I thought they were his, but I saw them at the flea market. Like, all right, Tony, how much? And he's like, they're not mine. What the fuck? Anyway, it's a baby twin. Pretty proud of it.
That's sweet. I heard that you possibly won something as well today.
Yeah, I won a friggin' fifth scale. No clue what I'm gonna do with it, but I'm like stoked.
And for the viewers, is it electric or nitro?
Gas.
Oh, gas.
It's a gas fifth scale buggy. I don't know the brand of it, but
It's
loud, obnoxious,
Yeah.
and pretty fast for how heavy it is.
Yeah. It's really loud.
Was that you running it in the video, Alex?
Yeah, it doesn't steer. And I was terribly terrified of it running off. Short backstory, when we went and did the go-kart bit and hung out at Tony's, he had the fifth scale for the giveaway. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. But,
No.
well, we were, when I got there, he's like, put this pull starter on it, behind the radio, yada, yada, yada. And then we ended up behind the shop in the parking lot. Mike was tooting it, getting the carburetor set right. We had to break in the clutch. And, like, right when its balls dropped, the receiver pack died. Drove it straight into a wall. Bent, like, the top plate.
Ooh.
And anyway, Tony put a new top plate on, and I ended up winning it, so I don't feel as bad. But, yeah.
It was pretty funny. And Alex almost ran a couple people over
When?
when you were driving it.
Today.
No, at Tony's.
Oh, well, because the brakes weren't working yet.
Mm-hmm. The dog was chasing it. It was funny. It was a
Yeah.
good time.
I showed my dad because I had to help him put a hood on his Freightliner, and I was like, "Look at what I got!" And my car was so packed, it was literally strapped into the passenger seat belted and everything. And he's like, "What the fuck is that?" I'm like, "It's an RC car." See? And then he's like, "Okay." And then when we were like saying our goodbyes, he's like, "Well, fired it up. I want to hear it." And he was like half grinning and stuff, and like I ran it around a little bit. He's like, "I wouldn't put that back on your seat," and I'm like, "Where would I put it then?" And he said, "Well, just leave it in the garage." He's definitely gonna fuck with this later.
Before we
That's
get
funny.
going too far, I kind of wanted to say thank you for all the people that were listening to the podcast. Quite a few people that come up to me and they're like, "Hey, yeah, I was listening to your podcast on Apple or YouTube the other day, blah blah blah," and they're like, "Thank you," because I didn't think it would ever get as big as it is. So thanks.
Yeah, and it really does mean a lot, everyone, that you actually want to listen to this. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, this is just three guys sitting in their rooms just talking about RC shit. You know?
Yeah. We're just a bunch of nerds.
Yeah.
Where's the button?
And then, do we want to talk about what we got
Sure.
planned for the whole night in order and all that, Alex?
Yeah, go ahead, Taylor.
So we're gonna bring in 2 to 3 of our guests, and then
2.5.
get some. Yeah, 2.5. That sounds about fair.
2.5.
We'll have some introductions, hear about their backstories. Then we're all gonna review that last LCRC race that we all did together. After that, Alex has quite a few hot takes that we'll talk about as a group. We'll talk about the Roar race and then our points series after that.
Cool.
Do we want to roll the intro and then bring our guests in?
I reckon it's time to do that. Here's the intro.
I reckon.
Cut.
And scene.
Disclaimer. You're about to listen/watch a podcast hosted by a group of friends who tend to use vulgar language and profanity, and also enjoy pounding adult beverages. Viewer discretion is advised. Lastly, we may be making some bold statements. All views and statements made in this podcast do not reflect the views of any sponsors, guests, followers, or any supporters of this podcast. So be cool and don't get offended. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoy.
Oh my gosh!
And where's the
And
clapper?
scene.
And scene.
Yeah.
All right. And we're back. So tonight we have 2.5 guests with us. We have Shane Laucks. Say hi, Shane.
Hey guys.
We have Shane Yoder.
Hey everyone,
And Shane Yoder, who do we have next to you?
this is my son Gavin Yoder, 10 years old. Can you say hi, Gavin?
Hi.
Wave to him.
He does talk.
Okay.
Gavin, how long have you been racing RC cars for?
I forget. Since I was 8.
Yeah. Where did you first start running RC cars at? Excuse me.
I forget that.
Where was your first race at?
I don't know.
Richmond Carpet.
It was at Richfield.
Okay. On the carpet. Do you like carpet tracks, Gavin?
Yeah, I like carpet.
What do you like better? Outdoor dirt or carpet?
I like outdoor dirt better.
Why is that?
Because I can drift around the turns and there's bigger jumps.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. I like it.
Gavin, do you enjoy beating up on people that are double, triple, even sometimes quadruple your age?
Yeah.
Easy, Taylor.
Sorry about that, Shane.
Five times, but easy.
Yeah. He's a fast kid.
Yeah.
Shane, since you're there, do you want to tell us about a little introduction for you, how you got started in like RC cars and where you got started at?
Honestly,
So,
Two Shanes, Taylor.
Laucks, I'm sorry.
okay.
We're just keeping you out of this, Yoder. You're just here to translate for Gavin.
So I got started. I was probably 10, 11 years old. My dad and I used to race outdoor oval, asphalt and carpet here locally in York County. We did that for 2, 3 years. Completely got out of it. Sold a business in 2017. Went and bought a basher. Ended up at Pit Stop Hobbies, and I think an hour later I had a B74 that I was racing, and my first race I think I finished fourth or fifth in the A main, and they're like, you sure you never did this before? And I was like, no, never off road. And that's where it kind of started, and went to LCRC and kind of got hooked, and I I've been to pit stop maybe once in the past 3 years. So just been hooked on 8 scale at LCRC, and it's just a great time with all of you guys, and it's kind of where I got started and where it led to.
What's been your biggest accomplishment so far out of your RC career there, Shane Laucks?
Oh, honestly, it's probably been these first 2 or 3 races at LCRC this year. I I I just was talking to Shane Yoder and Gavin earlier before, while we were waiting, and I had my cars so numb and so dumbed down, to thinking I didn't need the power. And I turned the power up this year, and I've never made an A main or qualified straight into an A main in 40 plus e buggy, and I did it, these past 3 races, and you know typically in the C main and truck, e-truck, and been pretty consistent in qualifying into the B. And I just think it's kind of stepping my program up, if you will, knowing I have never really done a lot of changes. It was tires, diffs, shock fluid, and I started making some changes to the car this year. Things that veterans have told me to do, and what they what I wanted out of my car, and it's they were right on every single time, and it proved it in the mains. So
I know at the very end of the season there, we were making a couple of changes. They're like shock position, starting to do sway bar stuff, things like that. To your e-buggy there. And your truck was killing it here at the last event there, Shane. Would you say that's because it's a new truck?
I have to say it's a new truck. I mean,
Yeah.
I think my old one got a little wore out. I'm not a tear it all down and rebuild it for the next race kind of guy. I can make sure my stuff is clean, but I don't tear every single bolt out and take all the nuts out and clean everything. I try to keep my stuff very very clean and very maintenance. But I definitely think that new truck is pretty dialed. Having a couple battery packs and on it on Friday, and then you know putting it on the track on Saturday, I was like, oh hello, I got my truck back. So yeah, it definitely helped.
For the listeners that don't know, Laucks, do you want to tell them what you run? And then Yoder, do you want to tell them after Laucks does?
So I run MBX8R e-buggy. Typically run 40 plus at LCRC, and then I run an MBX8TR Eco also at LCRC.
You want to tell them what you run?
I run a Mugen buggy at an intermediate at LCRC and e-truggy at LCRC. And 10th scale mini truggy.
Say techno mini truggy.
It's a techno mini truggy.
Where are you sitting at points wise?
Can you guys hear
here,
me?
Gavin? Yeah, we
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
Where are you sitting at points wise, Gavin?
I think they froze.
Oh no.
Yeah, they froze.
You know where you're sitting at points wise?
Mm, I don't know.
Your first and 10th scale.
The first and 10th scale. Third and intermediate buggy. And fifth and e-truggy.
And Mike, where are you sitting at points wise?
I am fourth in e-buggy, right behind you there, Gavin.
Uh-oh.
And e-truggy. Actually, I think we're tied right now, Gavin, with points.
Ooh.
And e-truggy, I'm trying to find it right now. Actually, I don't know. Seventh in e-truck.
Laucks, do you know where you're sitting at points wise? Did you look at? Oh.
No,
You're in 12th, big dog and Truggy.
Hell
12th.
yeah. Good job.
Yeah, Shane, you're 12th in
Wow,
e-truck.
not bad for a B main driver.
You're BQing right now, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
So Gavin, do you have any pointers or tips for Uncle Mike to get a little bit more speed and maybe knock you out of that third place position?
Probably just try not to crash and stay in the race line.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
Hey,
What are you-
I
what are you doing
would
here?
try my best. I would try my best. Sometimes it's hard. Those ruts and pipes jump out in front of you.
I'd like to point out the 3 Mugens too, Mugen Power. For once, we're not
Yeah.
overpowered by Techno.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's funny. I was literally just thinking that. I was like, there's 3 Mugen and 2 Techno in the house.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'll give the flowers to Mugen when they deserve it. Right now.
Thank you. So how was everybody's time at LCRC? Do we want to start talking about the Party Rock race?
Yeah, it was hot.
Yes, it was.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a couple points in time where I was out there, pitting, watering, racing, marshaling, like all in a whole bunch of times in a row. We had 102.6 on the thermostat up on the wall that kind of
Wow.
sits in the shade.
Stay in the shade. Yes.
Yeah, and it
Mm.
was hot. Yeah, I just came
Wow.
back to the pit and I just like sat there and I was like zoned out for a while.
Dude, Taylor, there was a couple times where I looked over at you and made sure you were actually okay because you did not
Yeah.
look good.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you guys.
That one time I came down out of the booth for whatever reason, and like you were right there at my pits, and I was like, "How's everything going?" And you were just like soaking wet, beat red.
Yeah.
You're like, "I'm pretty beat," and I'm like, "Dude, sit down.
Yeah.
Take a break. Go in the garage. Do something."
So other than the weather, I mean, we could talk about the weather too. Leading up, Thursday's practice was canceled due to rain, but so we laid the pipe down later in the afternoon. Then we got a small little rain shower that was surprising. That was completely unexpected. That lasted for about 5 minutes, and then come Friday morning, I forget what time we got onto the track. We had all day to practice, and it was a good day of practice there. Then beautiful weathers both Saturday and Sunday.
I will say overall, like I was telling Alex, I think this last race was the most relaxed LCRC event I've ever been to. It was nice. It
Wow.
was really nice.
It was
Like normally I'm running around like a chick with my head cut off, and I actually just sat and hung out for most of the weekend. It was great.
It was to me, it was amazing how quick we were able to roll through the program while bearing the 100-degree temps. Like, I really did not need to bark at all to have people come out and marshal or anything like that. Like, I know it sucked for everyone, but people were still hustling to get out. Like, there was no racer dropped their motivation to keep the program rolling. So that was just that was really cool to see.
So this was the first event on that layout. I want to hear everyone's opinions about the layout. What was the hardest part and your most favorite part on the layout? Shane, Laucks, let's start with you.
Definitely hardest part was the Dragon's Back. That was. I honestly don't know if I got marshaled in calls or mains in that section. Maybe once.
Is that
With
what we
both
called the
vehicles.
staircase? I'm sorry.
But staircase,
Yeah.
the Dragon's. I heard it called a couple different things, but I thought it was called the Dragon's Back. That Alex, I heard him say it, so that's what I called it. The 6-pack, if you will,
All right.
going up the hill. Thought that was definitely the hardest part of the the track. Definitely love this track. I thought it was very fast. Shane and I were just talking. I need to put some more turbo, some more boost in my buggy. Definitely, I think I was lacking there on the front stretch because it's such a big front stretch, and turn 2. Yeah, I think I'm losing because you're not full throttle anywhere else, even in the big double in front of the driver's stand. You're not full throttle anywhere else but the front straight. So with having the turbo in there, I definitely will be doing that for this next race, just because I think we need it.
Alex, what about you?
I'm sorry, I blanked out. I was thinking about what I got lost in the turbo conversation.
We can come back.
Yeah, come back. Sorry.
Yoder?
Oh, they froze.
No, they're there.
Gavin, can you hear us?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we're here. What was your favorite part of the track and the hardest?
My favorite part of the track was probably the 4-pack and then the step up. Then the hardest was probably going up the hill on the 6-pack.
Okay, Mike, what about you?
So I'm gonna agree. You know, going up the Dragon's Back in the center, that's in my opinion the hardest thing on the track. But now the thing that I struggled with the most, and it was just car setup wise, and grip and all that stuff, was the two 180 switchbacks on the right hand side.
Oh, you're taking my
So
answer.
yeah, so all weekend long, it was actually just running too soft of tires. I found myself in the mains on soft long wears. In truck and with promotion as T3s, it's basically like a medium almost. To where towards the second half of that race, they got too soft. So I started losing steering, I started losing rotation. To where I hear a lot of people, for some reason, were running like super soft tires on Sunday.
Saturday.
Like and Sunday.
Oh, really?
And Sunday.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there was people
Yep.
on super softs on Sunday.
I
Wow.
ran
I
greens
think they're
on
absolutely
the truck.
crazy. To where I mean, there was a ton of grip in the track, and the harder I made the tires, the better everything got, and the faster everything went. But
Is that because you just need more rotation in your truck?
so it would get to so much grip that the rear end would just lock in, so it wouldn't turn. You would turn the wheels and it wouldn't go anywhere. So you have to use the brakes to pivot the car. I don't like driving like that. I want to turn the wheels and have the car naturally pivot.
Yeah.
You know. So, but yeah, just finding a happy medium to where we could have. I don't think soft long wear was too soft or too hard, because looking at tire wear, the tire was actually wore very evenly. And there's not like, chunks missing out of them or anything like that. So I think it was a good call. It's just like I could have harder.
I'll
But-
say also the way I set up some of my vehicles, it's easier to drive and a little pushy. But for the 180s there, I had to start making it a little bit more aggressive. I usually run a little bit anti-squat, but I took a little bit of toe out and started adjusting the camber links and a few other things to help with the rotation in the rear end through those 180s. Another hard spot for me was coming down the hill through those bumps. I'm slow compared to some of the other people in like expert nitro buggy. Some of those guys like Shreff were just flying through that little section. And so I'm definitely off pace coming down the hill. Going through the staircase though, I had no trouble. That was generally pretty easy for me for the most part. I like the feature though. Alex, what about
So
you?
do I. The
Go
overall,
ahead.
the Dragon Back wasn't as hard as what I think even Kevin will admit it, as he thought it was going to be.
It looked
It did
horrible,
look very
didn't it? Lau?
intimidating. Yeah, it looked really bad. At
The
beginning of
messages I
weekend.
got from you when they released the layout,
Yeah.
that I think it was Thursday. I'm sitting in my pit. You're like, "F this" or something like that.
But yeah, I don't think they were as bad as what we all anticipated them to be.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
I was thinking kind of like a shit show like we had at Mugen with
That
that little
six-pack or whatever.
six-pack.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
rhythm bit.
Yeah, that was the non-rhythm section.
Yeah. I loved the Dragon's Back or Staircase, whatever we're calling it, that 6-pack. From an RD perspective, I loved it because watching all weekend, there was no one that in any car, any class, expert or intermediate or novice, there was not one single person that was able to get through there considerably faster every time than everyone else. Now,
Hey,
some guys might
Greg
get through
made
there
it look
pretty-
easy.
Well, sometimes someone would get through there pretty quick this lap, and then the next lap they're just teeter-tottering over. And that's what I really liked about it, is I don't think there really was a fast way to get through there. You might get lucky and hit the perfect line, especially as the weekend developed and those first couple jumps were wearing out on the outside, to where, because I know at the beginning, like on Friday, I was kind of cutting it inside, doubling the first two, and then just cruising out of it. But then by Sunday, I was kind of going wide and just like half throttle, praying I don't flip. That's what I really liked about it. It seemed like no one had it down considerably faster than anyone else or anything like that. I obviously like the straightaway and the sweeper. Yeah, I love just whether it's the short course or the e-buggy, just running that thing full tilt and watching it lean over. And we were talking to Jim Lonzo today, and he was saying like if you'd sit there in turn 2 and like or in the sweeper and watch the cars as they dip in, he said like some of the buggies with so much traction, how much traction the track had in the sweeper, like their their tires were just completely like almost leaning against the dirt. How much the cars were flexing and everything. So I always love the sweeper.
You need a nitro car then.
I have one. It's going to be a late model. We
Yeah.
decided that today.
One of the setup tips I kind of found to help get up through the staircase is taking a little bit of droop out of the cars. I found that to help make it a little easier.
That makes sense. Do you think it like helped it kind of spring up more, or just having the more travel?
Having less travel so that it's not catching.
I just learned droop last weekend. Sorry.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got it back.
Yeah. It kind of stayed a little flatter
Yeah.
through there by taking just a couple millimeters out of droop out of the car. So.
Sure, yeah. No, it makes complete sense.
So staying on the track, what do you guys think about the groove? How was traction? Was it high traction? Was it low traction? Was it loomy to you guys? And throughout the weekend, were you guys making a bunch of changes and stuff to your cars or no? Laucks, do you want to start? Keep the same circle.
Sure. So it depended where your race was. So I felt like if we were watering race 11 and I was race 10, there started to become a groove. But if you were race 11, race 12, race 13, every time we watered it, especially on Saturday and even early on Sunday, during the mains, the groove went away as soon as we watered the track. That I luckily I've was talking to enough guys. They got me on the green, the super soft, and the super soft on Saturday and early Sunday was absolutely the right tire to be on because there was just no traction, there was no groove. And to that, Brett Bloom, he was on super soft in 40 plus main the next to last race. He was on super soft, he was on green, and he won by uh, at least a half a lap, I think.
I think it was more than that, but yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
he was
So
dialed.
yeah, like so, I can't say that I can't say that the winner was on the wrong tire. Um, but yeah, and then Sunday, I ended up switching. I think I went out on blue relapse for truck in race 20. That was right before I think we watered the last time. Um, so there was a little bit of a groove, and then we watered the fluff, and I was race 32 or 31 or 32, 40 plus A main, and I went with a blue detox and made some setup changes on my car, and I thought my blue detoxes were amazing in the main. And Mike is saying that he thinks I may have I might I just it's funny how everyone thinks with tires, everybody goes a different route. Like I thought I was on the right the right tire for me. Mike thought he might have could have went harder in truck. It's so crazy to put it all together and really pick the tire that suits me. I know I went in the garage and Kevin and Cody and Taylor were sitting in there. I was like, guys, I don't know, and I want to glue up some tires. And Kevin's like, well, how? Cody's like, how do you drive? And I was like, well, I kind of drive like Kevin. I'm not I'm not really in the throttle. Um, and he's like, well, you answer my question. You answer your own question. Just put blues on and go. And I was like, okay. So
That leads us back to tire FOMO and staying away from that because we always
yeah,
second guess ourselves. I try to do this thing now where whatever tire I think I should run. I put it on the vehicle, and I just tell myself I'm not going to change it.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Like I had conversations with Colin over the weekend, and Colin will be sitting there staring at my tires, and I'd be like, "Hey, dude, think about this, think about that, think about this, think about that." And I was like, "I'm gonna go with what I know and just put this on and just run it." You know. And Shane, on the whole truck thing, I was on like a webbed bar tire, so that could be like contact patch could be the reason why you know what I mean. So different than a detox and relapse and all that. So they weren't pins. So that's why I think on truck I could have went harder, but on buggy that softer tire I thought was fine. It was a pin tire. So
Yoder's, the question was about the track, the groove, traction, and we can talk about tires and stuff too.
Do you even know what tires you were on? No.
Round ones.
No. Pit Dad knows the answer to that.
Were they
I
the
use
right
kinda
ones or
like-
the wrong ones, Gavin?
Were they right or wrong?
They're good. They're pretty good.
Good. That's
Good.
all I ever get. Good. They're good. I know if they're good or not in the first lap or two of watching them run. It's kind of like Shane said, though. People can ask you about tires, but it's kind of dependent on driving style. And
Car setup too.
I don't race, and I just watch Gavin's car the whole entire time, and I kind of know what the kid likes after 2 years of racing now. So we don't tend to run a softer tire because kind of gets a little edgy. Gavin doesn't like it when it gets edgy. So we kind of try to run a harder compound just to smooth it out. He likes smooth, easy to drive car. The kid can put it in within the pipes, in an Apex. That's just what he's good at. So I try to keep it more of a grandpa style for him, and it seems to work for him. So he might not always have the raw speed, but his consistency will normally be up there. So we just let his consistency win races, and sometimes we have the speed, sometimes we don't, huh? Yeah. You gonna answer any of it? What do you think about your tires?
They're good. They're easy to drive with. And I like
What's it?
that 'cause
What's your favorite
Go
Pruggy tire?
depends on the track and what the track is like.
When there's a groove, what's your favorite tire? If we're talking B main or A main?
Scribbles.
Scribbles. We're always on Scribbles. Scribbles on a Truggy if there's a groove. He absolutely loves those tires. The way we have it set up, normally when we're on a bar tire, he'll get some rotation out of it with the compound. We run soft long wear normally, so whenever I can see that rear sliding around for him, I know we're going to be in a good one. So that's what we look for. I don't know if it's a pillar ball thing, but we struggle to get some rear rotation, especially out of the buggy sometimes. But I'd say the biggest change we had this past race at LCRC though was definitely shock oil. We were way light with how hot it got. We were way up in shock oil. So, and that just calmed the whole car down, made it easy for them to drive. So it's crazy to see how much of a difference that makes. And I know a lot of people chase shock position, springs, sway bars, all that, but we've just been trying to dial in the differentials and the shock fluid. That's a big thing, I think. That's a game changer. When you get those differentials and shocks dialed in, it makes it so easy for the car to drive and handle.
Where were you
But
at
you don't know
diff-wise
anything
in both buggy and truck, Shane?
Buggy, we were 773, but we could have definitely went up higher. I know we could have by the A main. Truck, we were just at 10-10-7, but even at that, I know we could have went up higher even for the A main. I get lazy sometimes on race day after wrenching all weekend, but
Shame
I
on
wish
you.
somebody start to pick up a couple tools and help out. But running 3 of his vehicles and Maddie's, it's a lot. I mean, it's family effort. Normally, when Pap's there, that helps out a ton too with keeping the program going, because I took the kids to pit stop yesterday, and that was a nightmare. To keep everything going without Pap there. So yeah, we get through it though. It's just hard with Gavin's feedback sometimes. Good. That's the answer you'll get.
That's all you need.
So yeah, good.
If it's good, that means you're doing the right thing, Dad.
Yeah, we try. We try to work on the lingo a little more. he's starting to pick it up. And he'll say, "Well, it's bad in this turn." I'm like, "Well, what turn? Is it a fast turn? Is it a slow turn?" We're trying to break everything down, and he's starting to catch one to it. So makes it my job easier then too. So.
Have you ever completely missed the tires or the setup and Gavin told you it was, terrible?
Yeah. What race was that? What was right before Party Rock race? I'm drawing a blank.
Not the Flashpoint, the
Northeast.
Northeast Showdown.
Northeast Showdown. I put him out on, I don't even remember what it was now, but he was in the A main. I think he was sitting P6 in the A main, and he went straight to the back. I instantly knew after the first lap, yeah, we're on the wrong tires. So, yeah, it happens. I don't tell him that, but.
So Gavin, you don't tell your dad over the mic anything when it's not good?
I just normally don't talk to him when I'm on the stand because I'd like to focus and keep quiet. Because when I talk, I don't get enough focus.
I hear there's a problem with focusing when you're on the stand with your sister.
Yeah. We had a special request to not put Maddie and Gavin in the same heat for qualifying. That's how it's been ending up this year at LCRC, and it's an instant fight for the headset. So we try to avoid that. So thanks, Alex, for correcting that problem.
Rice Krispie treats go a long way.
Maddie's gonna slip Alex a 20 so that they could be in Q1 together, and then I think that might be her advantage over Gavin.
Just keep them separated, and I'll keep the Rice Krispies coming. Okay.
I can neither confirm nor deny anything.
So I noticed there was a good groove. Both it started forming probably Friday, I would say, through practice. Once we started getting like a lot of laps on it, come Friday afternoon, the groove started forming. Saturday through all the qualifiers, I thought there was like a really good groove, but the track temperature was actually really low. The surface temperature every time you would feel it. So it was very surprising. And there was a little bit of loom on top from the fluff the other drivers would keep bringing in.
You said this was Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah.
And it kind of continued throughout Sunday through the mains as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very surprised. I would say the traction from this last event was lower than both the mains for the first two events because the moisture wasn't in the dirt quite like the first two. But and surprising, if I wasn't there, I would just assume I'd be on an A2 till you're there and driving it because the temperature was so high. But the abrasiveness of the surface wasn't there. And with the surface temp being so low, a lot of times I found myself either on the super soft or what would probably be the very bottom operating range of a blue. So in my nitro cars, I ran blue because it would just be out there for a longer time so that you could get some more temp in there. But with my e-truck there, I was on a super soft, and I thought that was the right tire for me. I was very surprised. Mike?
It's
Go ahead.
crazy. It's crazy with a 90-degree day. You're
Yeah.
on super soft, but
Mhm.
there was not much tire wear. I mean,
No.
don't get me wrong, you could see the tires had some wear to them, but they did not get destroyed.
No one was coming off slick.
No.
Yeah. It was very surprising. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Saturday, second qualifier buggy, I did run super softs. I do remember that. I think we all did.
Yeah.
Second qualifier.
We all talked about it up there. I was like,
Yeah.
I spent like
Mike
10 minutes like, are you sure?
My Q2 and truck, I ran green reflex, and I thought that was the best tire decision of the whole weekend for me for that race. It was the safe one that was cutting through some of the loom, and the green was just perfect for that time.
But I was gonna say, other than Saturday, I mean, I was on a soft tire except for that qualifier all weekend long. Um, yeah, but I don't know. I don't have the option of A2, so I probably would have
You
tried
do if
it.
you ask
but
your buddy.
yeah,
Isn't Mike? Isn't that T1 for you guys?
no. So T1's considered our super soft. So
Oh,
T1 is super, T2 is soft, and T3 is like soft, long, or medium, and then T4 is like really hard.
okay.
Yeah. And then we were clay compounds, but I've never tried the clays personally. We have we have a soft and a super soft clay.
Alex,
But
or I'm sorry, Mike, were you done?
no, I'm good.
Okay.
Well, I honestly only completed Q1 with my e-buggy, so my opinion's a little weighted. I definitely share everyone's opinions with the Q2. Definitely felt like lower traction, but I made, I think it was like 4 or 5 laps I made till I pulled in my B main. I was on blue relapses, and I definitely think Aquas would have been better for me. I pulled because I didn't do my endpoints on my servo because I, don't think things through, and I had no steering. But I had pretty good tire wear on the
Long
blues.
story.
Yeah.
Long story short.
I don't know. I felt like traction was up pretty good Sunday. Definitely Q1 was good. Q2 traction was down, but the track was still fast, But again, answers loaded. I mean, I ran my short course on greens because that's what I had. But like you said, Shane, I was surprised after 8 or 10 minute 10 scale main, whatever we run, that I didn't have bald tires. Like honestly, you couldn't even tell I just ran them on a 90-degree track for 8 minutes. I was very surprised at that.
So after running this layout and knowing what we know now, I want to hear if you guys have any plans for setup changes going into the next event. Because we'll be on the same layout 2 times in a row. The track may change just slightly, but you guys have any setup changes that you planned and why? Laucks?
Yeah, Shane. Well, we were waiting. Shane and I were talking about this earlier. Definitely going to put some more turbo in the e-buggy. Just because I think whether it's 1/10 of a second, 100th of a second, whatever it might be, I just think you need a little bit. I need a little bit more in the straight and in turn two. Um, uh, I don't think I will change. I do actually. Yes, talking to Ron G and Taylor, we were kind of talking earlier. I might change. I'm running 774 in my diffs, and Ron said he really liked 10, 15, 7, and I want to try it. I'm going to try it Friday in practice. I know Friday in practice is not Saturday calls or even Sunday in mains, but I definitely want to try it and see what the car feels like. Um, so definitely going to try that. As far as my truck, I may put a little bit more, like go up 1, maybe 2 rates of throttle rate control, which is, the old punch. I may, but my truck was really, really good. It was just driver error. I was in second, I think once or twice in that main, and if I could have just run clean laps, I would have, been fine. So that's all I'm gonna really change, and um, again, we'll just have to see what the weather. It's going to be a tire game again. It just has, depending on weather and water and all that kind of stuff. we we might go on to 50% used grain reflex for 95-degree Saturday calls.
Yeah. What motor are you running in your e-buggy, Laucks?
1900.
You think
TK
about doing the
19.
Colin thing that he talked to us about and on the podcast? We're going up to the higher KV motor.
I have them. I have them. I much. I don't know. I definitely have thought it over. But I just I don't. A numbed down 2200, or a little bit of boost or a little bit of turbo in your 1900, you're at the same spot.
Okay.
I think. They say they run a little cooler numbing the 2200 down. But it's not going to be this year. It may be next year. I'm building a new car. I may throw the 2200 in there and dumb everything down.
I like the idea of the higher KV motor because it kind of takes away that torque. So generally we run Expo, and the throttle a little bit to kind of numb it down because we're not skilled enough at our level to, just barely touch the throttle there coming out of a turn or so, and kind of numb that down. But then you got the peak power. So I like the idea of that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I definitely. That is another thing. I was always this. Again, up until this year, it was always a -30 to a -40 in EXP. Throttle rate, and this year I took it all out. I'm down to 0. So I think, again, just it. I think it just helps me.
yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
I
when
think it
helps.
adds more feel.
Yeah, it makes you a better driver. At not having
It adds more feel to the throttle. Yeah, not having it just straight linear, I think
And
increases the feel of throttle
learning how to use this
tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I drove your Truggy, it was extremely numb there last season. But
Mm-hmm.
Yoder, what do you guys got planned for changes going from this layout to attempt number 2 on it?
What do you want to change to the next layout?
What?
The next race, what do you want to try out?
You guys
What do you
better
think we
put
can
some
do to
turbo
go
because I'm
faster?
coming.
Is he going to say a new mechanic?
Maybe more corner speed.
You want more corner speed?
Yeah.
Your corner speed's pretty quick.
Through what corner? Are you talking
Yeah,
the
what
sweeper
corner?
corner or the
But
sharp ones? Or
just like the small and sharp ones.
Like the paper clip down onto the right side of the track.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I took you to pit stop. He generally struggles with slower turns, just getting the rotation out of the car and coming out. Pit stop kind of teaches you the man up
That'll
and
get used to
muscle
that.
your car around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, let's go down to pit stop, and hopefully he'll carry it over into the next LCRC race. And we're planning on coming to the OCRC on the 5th, so hopefully we'll get some there. We definitely did not have any turbo in the SC, and we went to here in this truck because, man, that thing was powered by the driver's stand. So we went on tooth in the truck, ran it in some turbo the next one. We'll see how it is. I try to go for make maybe someone a ride or SC or anything, but I think it's time to start bumping the turbo. We played with it a little bit. Kind of touch with Taylor. We'll run a 1900 kV motor too in our buggy. I can tell where I'm at in turbo. It's starting to get hot. So we might make the switch to 22. I think it runs cooler. I know Alex runs at 22, and he says it was like a freight train on the top end. LCRC, it's wide open fast. So yeah, we might make a switch to that too, possibly. I don't know about for the next race, but that's something we've talked about, going to a bigger motor for the buggy. But we're definitely going to play with some turbo in the next one. So we won't let Shane outpull us on the front stretch, so to speak.
You better put enough in.
Laucks
We'll
is
throw the
saying put
kitchen
50
sink
degrees in. Cook that
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll definitely play with Turbo though. I know he's losing time on the front stretch, but uh, that's how I always learned to get fast. Whenever I used to ride sport bikes, me and my brother, we never had leader bikes. We were on 600s, less powered, no tune exhaust. So if you learn to drive, a slow car fast, when you get power, then it's easy. So I try to teach them drive a slow car fast, and it'll pay off in the end.
Yep.
So
What are you guys gonna do to get the corner speed out of them, or is this gonna be a conversation we'll have later?
yeah, this will probably be a conversation later because I don't know what he's asking for too much. Where do you want the corner speed? It's slow or fast?
Slow is fast.
Where you have to slow down and stay in the inside of the turn.
Oh, you wanted to carry more on a slower turn.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. He's not one to really, how do I want to say it? I have to yell at him because he goes full brake and full turn a lot. So he kills any momentum he has to carry corner speed a lot of the time. He drives in hard to the apex, straight in, brake, then turn. And it just doesn't, he don't have the speed sometimes. So I think a lot of it is his driving style sometimes too. And we're working on it. But yeah, I try to teach him to just roll off the throttle and let it carry through and not upset the suspension when he's going through turns either. So smooth is fast. That's what I try to tell him all the time. And talking about Expo, I don't run any Expo on his throttle. I teach him to be smooth with the finger. Steering, we will add some Expo on his steering to his buggy. Sometimes he'll tell me it's twitchy. We'll add about, I don't know, 8 or 10 Expo in, and that takes it away. And he says he can tell the difference on that. So seems to help out.
Just that little bit.
Yeah, just that little bit's enough for him to say, yeah, that's good. I can feel it. So
that's good to know. When I was practicing today, new radio, new ESC with the endpoint set, and you can ask Mike. I was steering more than I was touching the throttle, and
I was yelling at him.
I never drive like that, but I don't know I don't know why I was doing it, and I kept turning my steering speed down. But I want to try that now. The Expo in it.
Yeah, I won't turn his speed down on the servo. I just add in a little Expo is all I'll ever do on his steering for his buggy. Truggy, he never complains about it. But buggy, he'll complain sometimes about it being a little twitchy, which that could be the diff fluids too. But I generally try to do a quick fix on the radio if he's complaining about it. And sometimes I got to run up on the stand to do it for him because he doesn't know how to navigate his new transmitter completely yet. So we're getting there though.
Same here. I don't change the speed for the servo, but I'll just put 8 to 15% as kind of my operating range. I always have it in for Expo on the steering.
I never once thought about doing Expo on steering.
It just kind of numbs out that initial little feel.
Yeah, it makes
just
much
a little
sense,
bit.
Yeah.
So it takes that twitchiness away.
Yeah.
If you, especially on a high grip, and you got a super soft tire or something like that, and it, when you turn it is real fast, and maybe you're getting to the pipe too quick or something like that. It really helps.
I think that's what I was definitely doing today, because this was the first time with this new setup, and this new setup has so much turn in a good way, and I need to learn how to do that. And I'd just be trying to correct a tinsy wincy bit, but then I'm going full rotate, and my wheels are slapping around a turn, and no good.
Talking to Lutz last year, that was one of his big takeaways that he started implementing after Worlds and high grip tracks and things like that, is putting a whole bunch of negative Expo in his radio to help compensate for that.
Try that.
I don't even remember what the question was.
What changes are you making before the next race?
So I was fortunate to have Toby take a bunch of pictures of my car, and looking at that, it was kind of leaning over a little bit more than I want to.
In track feeling, son.
So, yeah, I do like that, and I am chasing that, but it's not always the fastest.
Right.
So, and also, just we talked about earlier, my stuff was a little pushy, and it couldn't stay tight to the apex as much as I wanted to, and Harry's hairpin there, or paperclip. So I'm going to run, or at least test, one step up stiffer in the Nitro Buggy rear spring, and I'm going to go up 10th in sway bar in the front and in the rear. And then I think that'll give it a little bit more corner speed and not let it lay over quite as much. Also, I'm going to go up 1,000. I'm probably going to try 785 for diffs and Nitro Buggy
Okay.
instead of 775 is what I was on.
What are you looking to gain there?
So I could just oversteer it a
Okay.
little bit, go into a slightly thicker
Yeah.
center, so it'll let me
Give it
oversteer.
a slide a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't want to go too high because I've gone 10 in the center, and 10 makes it a little bit more difficult for me to drive at my skill level.
Yeah.
And also, both on truck and buggy, I'm going to probably be on the F2I wing instead of the Razor.
Okay.
So,
Is it the lower profile one?
yeah.
Or okay.
I don't know if I got one behind me. It's not on the car right now. But yeah, they kind of look like kit wings, like it'd be Techno's lightweight deal. It looks just the same.
And
Fair
and
enough.
Taylor, you're doing these changes. You said you're going up in sway bar, and what are you trying to get?
So it doesn't lean over quite as much.
Stiffen the car up.
Yeah,
In a
just
way.
stiffen it up
Yeah.
a little bit. But I want to keep the same balance front to rear. I might try to keep the same front sway bar and then go up one step higher in the rear
Yeah.
to give a little bit more oversteer.
Yeah.
But I only want to make one change at a time. I don't mind the balance too much. So I'm going to stick with going up a 10th in the front and rear. So it's the same balance and try the other changes. And then if I don't have enough rear rotation or I can't oversteer it, I'm going to drop the front to what I'm running right now is a 2.1.
Wow.
So I'm on Drake's recommendations right now for a 2.1-2.4 combo. And then so I'm going to go 2.2, 2.5. And if I don't have enough oversteer throughout the mid turn, I might keep the 2.5 in the rear and drop it to a 2.1. So I got the front grip. I just changed the balance a little bit.
That's what I was on Saturday in my buggy was 2.5 2.1 2.5 because I like steering. So
Yeah.
I wanted a little bit harder of a sway bar in the rear to give me more steering, obviously in the front. But then, come mains, when I was, obviously next to last and we had the traction, went 2.4 2.7 in my e-buggy. So I made quite a big change with sway bars, and I really, really liked that when I got the traction.
Yeah. As far as truck goes, the F2I wing as well. And my truck's usually pretty dialed, but I ran 10, 12 and a half, 7 for diff fluids. And that's going to probably be my new baseline. But I'm going to try 10, 15, 7. And I'm just slowly going up as my skill level slightly improves. Not much, but marginally. And it just gives me a little bit more drive. And I picked up, well, I guess I actually already had it, but a 2.8, so 1/10 higher sway bar for the rear. Kit's a 2.7 for us. So achieving the same thing, just get a little bit more rear rotation out of it so I can stay tight in the race line. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Thing number one, shocks. So I already rebuilt them. I put completely different pistons in them in the buggy, to get rid of a ton of pack that the car had. Because as I went up in oil, the car became a brick. In slow speeds, it drove fine. Anytime that it hit something hard or went through the dragon's back, it would, get upset. So
I know what
completely-
you run, but tell the listeners.
So I had the VRP 20 holes and I went to the VRP 6-hole.
And were they the VRP kit or were they the custom drilled out spec from?
They're the Tebow ones that he makes and repackages and sells for the 6-hole and 20-hole. And I also have MIPs, which I forgot I had in my bag last weekend, or I would have put those in instead of the 20 holes. To help reduce. They're 8-hole MIPs. But what else? Say buggy. Other than that, the buggy setup was pretty good, so I'm probably just gonna leave that alone. Diffs were fine. Truck, a rear link change because I want to add rotation to the rear. To where when I turn the wheel, I want it to just whip around.
Are you gonna down on the tower?
But either that or shorter on the hub.
Okay.
But yeah, one of the two. I'll probably try both and see what I'd like better. But other than that, I mean, other than those two things, like motor wise, everything had power. I don't run turbo or anything, but I was pulling on people in the straights in both cars. I don't know if that's just I had traction, they didn't. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think the biggest thing is the shocks in the buggy. I know it can go faster. It felt like a brick through a couple spots.
You hear that, Gavin? He knows he can go faster.
So I'm curious. Like next race, I'm definitely gonna look back at race times and see if it made a difference or if it's just feel. But
yeah, pretty solid. Alex, you gonna set your endpoints for this one?
Yes.
What else you got?
Already done. I might copy Mike doing the VRP 6-holes if I order them. I didn't order them yet. At a minimal, definitely
they're currently out of stock. Just keep refreshing every day.
So I'm gonna go lower on my 20-hole piston. I'm gonna go to lower shock fluid. I think we were like 50 to 100 CST too heavy. So gonna go a little lighter there. I ordered a 1.7 sway bar for the front end. I had Mike gave me a 1.9 to try, and I really liked it. Mike has a 1.7. He said it's even better, so I want to try that. Other than that, I didn't really get much competition time with the buggy because of ESC issues and servo issues. But today, when I was practicing, I loved it, and it was very fast. I was struggling. I don't know. It's different, and I'm learning the new radio, so I'm trying to get used to it. But I know how it is fast, and I need to learn this or get more used to it so then I can learn what I need to change to make it easier to drive for me. So, yeah, I guess I'm really only doing sway bars and shock oil. And my short course, I found out a whole bunch that screwed up with it today. So that's getting a makeover because I got to catch up to Gavin and Tencio. So, and
good luck with that.
Stay ahead of Taylor and Toby. But yeah.
Your shot conversation brings up a great topic, and I didn't even have this written down to talk about. And Mike, I'd like your input on this too. So you guys running the same chassis and trying to run the same shock package together, that lets you guys at the same race event start bouncing ideas and stuff off of each other and, dial it in and really hone it in. That's kind of something similar I'm fortunate enough to talk to Adam Drake about. And we all run the same shock package pretty much universally all around the MIP 6-hole deals, drilled out to his spec and running the same chassis and stuff. So how do you guys feel about trying to copy other people's setups and stuff, things like that, and work off each other?
What do you mean? It's just between me and him?
Yeah, at the track.
Well, we're both copying Wiggins'
Joey.
setup, which is
Okay.
pretty much
Joey and Wiggins.
It's pretty much what all the top level techno guys, to my understanding, are like their base setup at least when they go to a track. I think, and then like the more I hang around Mike, and the more he's yelling in my ear to brake at this point in a turn, I think I'm really starting to drive like Mike. So, I mean, Mike is still considerably better than me. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like I can confidently come off the track and say, because we almost run carbon copy setups. So I'm gonna be like, hey Mike, do our shocks feel too heavy? And Mike like, yeah, I was just thinking that, and done, confirmed, or something like that. So I think between Mike and I, it really helps. I can't speak to copy and like pro level setup. Mike might be able to answer that more.
Alex doesn't give himself enough credit for one, to where he is faster than he thinks he is. He just needs to stop Alexing himself.
Yes.
I need to set my endpoints and my droop, and
So regionally, you know, I would say there's that term fending yourself because Dakota sometimes can't put it all together for a whole event.
45-minute
So,
A-main at
how about-
Roar-Nats.
Yeah, Schultzing yourself. Try not to do that on the stand, guys. Don't Schultz yourself.
It could be a thing.
Mike, do you have any other input on that or no?
I mean, not really, but I mean, it is nice having Alex there for sure. Especially because he's running the exact same thing, you know. But there's also, you know, I mean, Cullen and I had talks all weekend long. He's a huge help too. But
He's a smart
you know,
cookie.
dude, he really is. Like, he's one of the I'm really glad I started talking to him.
Yes.
And then of course Jim Lonzo too. I mean, it doesn't matter what car you drive. The theory's the same across all of them. You ask him anything, he'll give you an answer.
Lonzo can
You
take
know.
a lap with a car and tell you like 8 things you should do to it right now, and like
Yeah.
99% of the time he's 100% right.
Do you guys have any other input on working together as a team?
I can't stand staring at him, but you know, he
I
sat
don't
across
want
me all
to,
weekend.
Yeah, he hated pitting in the 6-pack shack and having to look across from me for those 10 minutes a day.
Yep.
It is
one that don't Schultz yourself is I think a lot of it's a head game too when you're up on the driver's stand. Gavyn didn't get off to the greatest start in the A main of intermediate buggy, and he can get down on himself pretty quick early on in the race. He did it at Motorama. He made it truck. He just quit, and that makes me mad more than anything else. But I tried to make a big picture out of it for Gavyn in the intermediate buggy race at the A main. He went to the back, and I said, "Dude, every single person you pass is 1 point towards the point series." I said, "Just put your head down and go for it." So he drove from last place the whole way up to 5th, and I kind of made it a game for him. I was like, "Well, there's a point. There's 2 more points. There's another point." I said, "You're picking up points." I said, "It's a tight race." So I think Schultz and yourself, big thing of it's a mental thing too.
Yeah.
Kids give up with himself, get in your own head, and hey, anything can happen. I said, you never give up. You race to the end every single time. So that's one thing I would add on that.
Even add on to that a little bit with the points thing. Even in my B main, like my car was practically undrivable to the point where I was a problem for everyone competing for the bump. So I pulled to the side, and then I waited because a couple other people broke out. So then I saw how many laps they had completed and made sure I completed 1 more. So then I know I'm getting 2 more points compared to what I would have been at if I would have stayed parked. You know, I did it safely. Like anytime someone came behind me, I'd pull off to the side and everything. But we're playing a points game here. So, I mean, I don't think I'm competing for first, obviously, but I'm definitely not going to be competing for everything if I just give up and walk off the stand.
Would you say you guys really enjoy the point series that we're in?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It gives a little extra purpose, you know.
I love the point series. However, last year I said this, you know, just to Kevin and Krista off, you know, I guess out of context or off the record. But last year I made in 40 plus, I made 1 A main in 40 plus and finished 5th in the points. And that to me, again, I was extremely honored and felt like I accomplished something, but I really wasn't the fifth fastest driver in 40 plus e-bug. I was nowhere close. Um, so that's the only thing. Like, I'm not. Again, I would never second guess what they're doing because they have record breaking entry counts each week. That's not what I'm. That's not what I'm saying. But if you look at it, it's really not, in my opinion, it's really not a true. Just because of my personal experience last year, it's not a true point series because, again, I finished in the A main one time and ended up fifth overall through for the season. So that's what I have to say about the point series.
Can I play devil's
Go ahead.
advocate on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, example, at WOCRC last year, we did a 6-race point series as well. We did 4 count, 2 drops, last race is double points. With the drops, we had people that only made 2 races, and because last race was double points, they were still able to podium in the points. Take that for what it is. To me, a point series isn't just about how well you do at each race. It's about coming to the races. And this is why I really like the no drops, because this isn't a point series to see who's fastest in the Northeast. It's not a point series to see who's fastest on the East Coast. It's a point series for LCRC. You know what I mean? So, like, it wouldn't be fair if I'm going to use Joey Bourdon as example here for no reason, just because his name popped in my head. If he came 3 races out of the year and TQ'd in 1 expert e-buggy each time, I don't feel like he deserves, if we did like 3 drops or whatever, I feel like the guy that was BQ each race for 6 races deserves to be higher on the points list than Joey would be for TQing and winning just 3 races and not coming the other 3. You know what I mean? Now, like, and then we can kind of compare it to F1 or NASCAR or whatever. I mean, that's like apples to oranges in a sense, but they don't have drops. I mean, yeah, it's a whole different thing where that's their job. So, of course, they're going to make every race besides injury or something of those sorts. But I feel like the no drops keeps it way more competitive in a more local sense, if that makes sense. So I'm not quite sure what exactly I'm trying to say, but I feel like just showing up is half the battle. Make every race and do as good as you can. And if you don't make every race, then sorry about your luck, because there's people that are making every race. People that live next door, like the Shanes kind of do. And then there's people that live, like Gibbler. You know, he lives, 5-6 hours away? He's at every race. So, you know, we can't really sit here and say excuses of, well, Shane Laucks lived next door. You know, he only made AMA once. Of course he's going to be 5th in points because he's next door. He can be at every event. Well, so can Gavyn Gibbler that lives 6 hours away and is at every event. Like, I get it. There's weddings. There's family emergencies. There's graduations. Everything else. Some people have their priorities with RC on top. If you want to compete in the points, you know, I don't know if that sounds selfish or not, but I think that's my devil's advocate. I don't know if it's quite a rebuttal, but just a different way of looking at it.
I respect that. I mean, it's definitely a different way to look at it, and me personally, I don't look at it that way, but you kind of open my eyes
And
to looking at it that way.
I know what you're saying too. I know exactly what you mean. You know, you make complete sense.
Guess I just don't. Yeah, I just didn't feel like I deserved
Yeah,
5th place in the point series.
right.
Did I make every race other than the very last Halloween race? I did. And that's what obviously got me 5th in the points last year.
Yeah,
But I didn't feel like I was the 5th best driver
right.
in 40 plus e-buggy.
And that's right there. That statement is where my rebuttal sits. At the ProTech Super Cup, we find out who the 5th best driver is in 40 plus e-buggy for that weekend. Across the point series, we find out who the best in the point series was, which starts at half the battle of showing up to the race. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. I completely understand your point of view, and it makes complete sense, and I'm not degrading it at all. But I'm just, like you said, I'm just another way to look at it. I don't know if anyone else has opinions on that they'd like to share too.
Yeah, Laucks, you say you don't deserve it from like a driving skill level perspective, but counter arguing that, you deserve it from a consistency and showing up
Commitment.
to each race. Yeah, because you're committed and you show up and you do it, compared to the people who can't, you know. So I would say you don't not deserve it.
I think you could bring up another good point on that too, is not only just from driver skill being fast, but is your equipment ready to go? Are you getting through as far and deep as you can? Because, look at, not putting any more on him, but look what happened to Thomas Kaufman at the last race. You can pretty much say good night now in the truck series points because he was leading now.
Yeah.
That's pretty much done deal. You're out of the series now.
And even like Cash Pieri, he was doing great, but he picked Rory Nats over LCRC points. Completely respect the decision, I don't blame him one bit. But that's going to reflect his points. So it's, what is your priority? Do you want to place well in LCRC points, or do you want to go to these other races, or people prioritize their family first, like 99% of the time, or have wife and kids, like 2 of you do. So, like, that's going to take precedence. But for the people like, me, Taylor, and Mike, where we got nothing better to do, we're going to be in every race, no matter how we finish, whether we finish races at all. I just want to
spend my weekend in a trailer with a whole bunch of other dudes.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing ever.
Yep.
Like, I look forward to it every month. But
yeah, I steal Alex's dog for 2 days.
Basically.
Yeah.
Hey, could we take a pee break and then maybe we'll move on to next subjects? We'll talk about Roar, our point series, and everything else too.
Yeah. So we'll throw a commercial, have a little break. Here's ACS. Go down and see them. Check out their website. Here it is.
So, how do you hobby? At ACS Hobbies, we've got everything to fuel your passion and spark your creativity. Whether you're into RC cars, model trains, boats, or planes, we have a huge selection of kits, parts, and accessories. Need paints or tools? We've got you covered. Test your skills on our RC crawler course or race on our oval track. There's always something fun to do. Plus, discover an awesome range of games for all ages. ACS Hobbies is your ultimate destination for hobby enthusiasts. Visit us today and start building your next adventure.
So Nats happened. That was a thing. Points happened.
Let me pull up our points.
Oh, why don't I pull it up
here? And I kind of want to talk. So we're doing a new thing with the points.
Yes.
So
which will be out before this is out,
Yes, but kind of want to explain it too in case you didn't see it. I've had a lot of requests about this, about doing drops. Been talking a lot with Lefty, and Dakota Fenn's mom also asked if we would do a drop, which was surprising.
Kind of funny.
Also, humbling to know our reach for this podcast as well.
Big time.
So we are starting to do one drop for the season, and that kind of tightened up the point series a little bit on the top. The bottom's going to stay the same, so we're just dropping one of your lowest scores, and then it mostly affects the guys just at the top, like Mayfield, who's attended all the races
Yeah.
and done pretty good at all of them. So it dropped his lowest score, so now he's kind of within striking distance of, say, Dakota Fenn,
And
who's
real quick.
Yeah.
Shane, this is kind of in your defense of the whole thing we were just talking about with point series and drops, because for anyone listening that doesn't know, Fend had a kid, responsibilities he can't make. What Silver State he didn't go to, right?
PMB and Silver State,
because
two of them.
fresh baby, and then Lutz, because he's Kyosho, he had to go to the Kyosho Masters overseas. So, and there was, other pros that had prior obligations and were paid more money to go to other races that aren't in our point series, or they decided to create a tiny human. So, and Shaning your whole argument of where's the drops at, this is the perfect place, So I'm contradicting myself, but anyway, I just wanted to put that bit in. Sorry, Taylor.
No, you're good. So I'll just run through like a couple guys audibly, unless do we want to put it up or no? I'll just run through it audibly.
I don't have the the nice version of the dropped.
Okay. So in first, we still have Mayfield. Second, it didn't change. It's still Seth Van Dalen. Third is Mason Fuller. Now in fourth place, we have Ryan Lutz. Fifth is B. Rose. Sixth is Camden Lime. Seventh, Jared Wiggins. Eighth, Adam Drake. Ninth, Jonah Wilson. 10th is Tebow. Then 11th is where Fenn's sitting at. So I expect over the next few races, the next one coming up on our point series will be Wicked Weekend. And then, if Fenn's at 300 points, Mayfield's at 398. If Fenn wins it in TQs, that puts Fenn at 401. And then we'll see how, say, Mayfield does in comparison.
Do you want to explain how drivers get points for this series, Taylor?
Yeah, so it's only based off of Nitro Buggy and only A main finishes. And so first in the A main is 100 points. We award one extra point for a TQ. And then second place would be 99 points. Third place, 98 points. And so forth.
So hypothetically, if Mayfield doesn't make the main and Fenn TQs and wins, that could completely shake up the list.
Yep, absolutely. Which I'm not shit talking any of these drivers, but there's a couple of them, say like maybe a Camden Lime or something like that. If he doesn't do well, which statistically, he isn't always in the A main, that would kind of knock him out of that position.
No, definitely. I mean, look at Mason Fuller didn't make the main at Nats, right?
That's correct.
So right there, he just went off a Silver State and to this,
Yeah. This does him good justice doing the points drop, because that takes his zero score of, Roar away.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Roar, do you want to start going into the Roar, Alex?
Yeah. Can I start with I want to congratulate Dakota Fenn for taking 3 out of the 4, right? And then B Rose for taking E-Truggy. Congratulate the winners, of course. But I want to talk about the Nitro main, because that was like the only one I really watched. We all watched it after we were done racing last weekend. And specifically, I want to talk.
I was gonna say in the nice cold AC
right,
at the time.
It's so nice. But
go ahead.
I want to talk about how fast Fend was in that main. I mean, we watched the last 20 or 30 minutes or something, and in that time, he took out like 2 or 3 cones, had some other bobbles. I think he had a pit road flame out. Then he like Schultzed himself coming off a pit road and like did a donut on the other side of a pipe somewhere. And throughout all this, he still went around Mayfield, which Mayfield did have that one wreck in the double or triple or something. I was listening to No Name, their newest episode 321. I was listening to them go over it, and it really got me thinking, like, and even watching it, like, we're watching, we're like, Mayfield's winning. Here comes Fend. Oh, it's a 3-second gap. Now it's a 2-second gap, and Fend hit a cone. Okay, now it's an 8-second gap. 7, 6, 5, and he hit another cone. And he just kept like, But still, with all this, Mayfield is still hauling. Like, Mayfield was not slow. Just, that's how much faster Fend was. Meanwhile, those two were still 1 or 2 laps up on the whole field. So, there's so much credit to give to Fend for how ridiculously fast he was. And whether, like, I don't know. I feel like Fend's obviously never been slow, but I feel like he's been exceptionally fast the past few races, whether it's the new car, Chicky being, his pit guy and helping out so much. I don't know what water he's drinking, but it's working out nice for him.
I was literally going to ask you and ask all of you, do you, in my opinion, Fend's program went up a level by going from TLR to X-Ray?
Kind of touches back on that little subject I was trying to lead into. We didn't discuss too much is being on a team with the same chassis and same products as other guys there.
Yeah.
And testing together. So it was a pretty big X-Ray team there. Chase Lemieux was there. You had Jason Mechanic,
Tater.
Ethan Mechanic, Tater, Sontag, and whoever else, and probably some of the mediocre drivers. Yeah, Decker's there.
Not mediocre, but
yeah.
No,
I would completely agree.
Yeah, because there really wasn't much going on for TLR last year, right? Like, I mean, they had some drivers, right? But who was? If we look now, Techno, they got fucking like 10 top guys that are all sharing, bouncing ideas off each other at these big races.
When?
I
was going to say, when Fend was driving for TLR, his best results and consistent results were when he had Barry Baker in his corner as a pit mechanic who was knowledgeable as hell and helped him along the way, whether it's both mentally, setup-wise, pit man, everything. And then once he lost Barry Baker, because of TLR things and Horizon and all that, I think Fend's results really started kind of dumping down a little bit and were very inconsistent. So I think having a good team behind you is pretty important.
And go ahead, Mike.
I think it's two things. Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's two things. There was many years where his nitro engine program caused him to lose races. Constant flameouts, braking, not actually finishing races. Switching engines, and then he started finishing races. Switching cars, he just something unlocked when he went to X-Ray over TLR.
What engine is he on now?
Ultimate.
Yeah. Something. Okay. He's always been that lightning fast driver. Like, look back at old Nats races when he ran TLR and back when Thornhill was outside, or not cover, I should say, still outside. I think he won that Nats. It was 15 or 16 or something like that. He's just as fast then as he is now. It's just now his stuff is actually finishing races. And he's still. I'm sure he's gotten better since then, but yeah, he's always been fast. He's just never finished races.
Yeah. What Shanes, what do you guys think? You guys got to have anything to add to this?
Who was the guy from Mayfield? They were chasing setup. They said he rebuilt 33 diffs during the races just to try and find that
little bit more of speed. That's
Wow.
insane to me. That's-
Rui's his pit guy.
yeah, I think that's who it was. They said he built 33 diffs, and I'm just like, wow.
Well, they were
It's just a
running.
whole nother level.
What was he running? Like 100K in his diffs down
Yeah,
there?
it was
Yeah, I
something
think-
crazy like that.
Yeah. I think Cash had it up on like 100K, then
Yeah.
something else, but yeah.
Like, who's the Frankie Contreras Jr. was the Mugen guy down there,
hmm
and working with Drake. So, and for reference for us, they were on 100, 150 in their diffs for the Mugen.
Wow. That's just nuts. But I don't want to focus too much on diff talk yet because that leads into the other thing. I want to add, I'm excited to see this kind of battle Fenn and Mayfield are growing, this rivalry, quote unquote. Because
Can't say it's a rivalry because I think this weekend Mayfield's hanging out with Fend.
well, yeah, it's an on-track rivalry. Like, obviously, they
Yeah.
don't hate each other, but if you want to talk about the top two guys in RC racing right now, this side of the pond, Fenn and Mayfield. Easy. Fenn's, I mean, Mayfield's been doing this a little longer than Fenn, right? And I definitely think Mayfield has a ton more racecraft. I'm excited to see this battle progress between them throughout this season of what's going to win. The speed Fenn can have at every event, or the racecraft that Mayfield possesses. You know what I mean? I'm excited to see when these battles went against each other, and I forget who mentioned it or who I was talking to about it, but they were saying how they believe Fenn is way better on the smoother, super high grip tracks compared to Mayfield kicking ass on the super blown out moon crater tracks. Mike, it might have been you. And referring back to how 15 years ago, every track at these big events was blown out crazy. And Mayfield was used to it. You know, he has so much experience running on those blown out tracks compared to Fenn, who doesn't have as much experience. And then vice versa with the super high grip, you could say, and maybe that's where they'll be in a little bit younger comes into play, and it's a fun thing to follow and pick apart.
Could
Yeah,
we
you
pick
also
apart
see-
too? Go ahead. Sorry, Mike.
Was that you also see Lutz and Tebow start rising up on those blown out tracks too?
Yeah, no, there's a
Just
lot
like
of people
that's-
rising up because that's what they
yeah.
were doing years ago.
I was gonna say, could we start picking apart? Maybe it's the chassis as well too, kind of giving them that benefit of the doubt. This is like an argument for us, where Techno's notoriously kind of known for being good on a blown out, crappy track. Pillow ball cars kind of do shine a little bit on high traction surfaces. Look at Ungaro there in Worlds and associated cars.
No, that's a good point. That's definitely a really good point. In Fenn's case, I think Fenn has probably the best, or at least most dedicated camp behind him right now. You know what I mean? Like, he has a lot of backing in the pits. He's getting great team support. He is the golden boy for X-Ray right now, which is fine. I'm not talking shit or nothing. And it's showing, in my opinion. I'm not saying Mayfield or Van Dalen or Heckert or Lutz or Drake, I'm not saying any of them don't have the support. I just feel like that whole X-Ray camp at that level is everyone's doing exactly what they need to do. And it might be solely the car. It very well could be. Oh.
Or that he's a very good driver too.
Well, yeah, that's obvious. And I wish we could do an A to B where, we gave Mayfield and Fenn friggin' hot bodies for a month. Here, make it fast to your liking, and then put them on a track and see where it stands. Like, that'd be a fun test, but it's a different world.
Mm-hmm. What else you got from the war?
I think that's all I have before I go on my hot takes. So, you guys have anything you want to talk about before that?
I want to talk about hot cakes.
Hot cakes. So, cakes are hot when they come out of the oven. No. So, I'm not talking shit on Thornhill. One, I've never been there. Two, it seems like a fantastic facility. It seems awesome. I've heard nothing but good things about everyone, about that whole place, and from everyone that went. And I understand a Nats track should be a certain level of difficult to drive on, because it's the Nats. Let's give the drivers a challenge. It makes sense. Ain't swiping.
Ender.
I was
Trying to get rid of your face.
No, I was actually I have my phone charging, and I'm looking to see how much battery I have left because it seems like it keeps going down, down, down. And it says it's charging on me.
I was thinking, she's a 3. Elbows 2.20.
Anyway, I get it how Nats track's supposed to be hard. That I feel like there's a certain level of too much grip when we talk dirt off-road. And I've never ran on anything like that. I probably never will. So this is a very biased, ignorant opinion. But I feel like we might as well just throw turf down and run on turf at that point. I feel like it was an abysmal track. Like, I mean, it definitely made for great racing come the Nitro Main that I watched, between at least the top two, because that's what Lifetime was focusing on. But I circle back into how when we had the Worlds last year and we're in Spain on this super oil, high grip surface, and we're all, people are like, oh, well, that's not real off-road, semi-permanent track, yada, 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 this, that, and the other. Okay, well, the Worlds are going to be in America this year, so how are we going to do this and make it different? Let's run it on the most European track America has to offer. What? You know what I mean? So, I'm a little...
I got 2 things. I didn't like, because it's so high grip and so much traction from what we're used to running on, the first couple days there, instead of the pros just getting used to a layout, and we end up just seeing who's the super fast guys. I mean, fast will always rise to the top no matter what. But you have 2 days pretty much of guys just trying to figure out their setups to match to a track that's so much different than what we're used to running on. Then kind of like the other thing for me is I'm very disappointed that, nothing against Thornhill, because I think it's a cool facility, and I would race there all the time if that was my local track,
Yeah.
obviously. But I hate that we chose this as the World's race, because I think all of us were super excited for it to come back to America, and we race on an American style track. And I don't consider this really an American style track because it's such high grip. I want something with a little bit of loom on it.
I want it blown out.
Yeah. I'm not talking Beach RC's event that they have where it's super blown out all the time. Maybe Silver State kind of goes along with that a little bit too, but something in the middle there, at least a little bit.
Yeah, some character.
Maybe a slight groove, but a little blown out and loomy. But we selected a super high grip, almost carpet traction track, and I feel like we're just handing the win over to the Europeans.
No, I completely agree. And now, whether or not the Americans are gonna figure that out now by doing it at the Nats and the warm up, and B Rose is camping out there because that's where he lives, but I hope Thornhill makes us put our foot in our mouths, and by next summer or whenever, they just take a skid steer to the track and completely mulch everything up and redo it completely, and don't put the glue down, don't put the oil down, just leave it dirt. They have the opportunity, they have the technology. we could all be surprised. So I hope to see that. I don't expect to, because that's not what Thornhill's known for. But they might be cooking something up. I don't know.
What are your guys' thoughts?
Good, Shanes.
I personally like a blown out track. I think it makes you adjust your lines more, and you can really see who can dial in a better line, pick up a couple tenths here and there. Also adds to the aspect of getting your car dialed into that. It's something you don't see. I know Kevin does an amazing job at LCRC of keeping it super smooth, but we'll go down the G's sometimes. And I can remember back probably a year ago, Braden Benner was down running at G's, and they started picking on him, saying, "Hey, this isn't smooth like LCRC. You know, they get a little bit more blown out." And I don't mind seeing that. I like when the track gets blown out a little bit. Now, not landmines out there, but
Yeah.
I like it when there gets some character in there.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, there was a couple LCRC events, I think last year and the year before, where Sunday on main day, you're not picking the same line you ran, Friday or Saturday. So I think, watching the Nationals, there's nothing blown out anywhere. It didn't look like it to me anyway. You're literally running the same line. How fast can you go? How good are you at setting up your car to the high grip track and let it rip? And to me, does it come down to driver and setup at that point, or does it just come down to setup? Um, I don't know the answer. That's way above my skill level, but you know, just like you guys said, I kind of think running the worlds at a glued track. Wow. I mean, I have a glued track 25 minutes from the house. Every once in a while they'll put glue down, and it's one, you're running one set of tires and you're coming off, and they're gone, completely gone. They're smoked. You're switching tires, for the next main. And is there grip? Yep, but it's an expensive day.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mike?
Bring back the worlds in Vegas.
Facts.
That was in my opinion, that was the last good world.
Yeah.
It also makes sense too for people to fly into and stay. And
I mean, that track though, like that track of the dirt. I think Runafuck won that year, but it got that big blow. It got blown out. It was the Luby surface. It really showed the best driver at the time, you know.
And
But
I wanna add on real quick back to Taylor, what you were saying, how at the Nats it seemed like the first 2 days people were just trying to find the setup. And this is like you can look at this different ways, what I'm about to say, because like I want RC to be like a fucking thing, I want to be on ESPN. Not me personally, but I want our hobby, our sport to be on ESPN, which comes with close, tight racing. I feel like with tracks like this, where they're spending the first couple days figuring it out, a couple guys are going to figure it out faster than other people. So you're going to have mains where the top 2 guys are a lap or 2 ahead, compared to maybe not necessarily an easier track, but a less difficult surface, where everyone figures it out within their first couple times on the track. So instead of first and second battling it out and everyone else a lap behind, first through 6 are in a snake for 45 minutes. That would be much better production value, more exciting for anyone watching, let alone people that have no clue about the hobby. So, especially when we come to talk about a Worlds, back to the thing we were saying, how we wish, we hope it's not a glued track. Mike?
Yeah, so I don't think you saw Live RC's post today.
No, I
Um,
don't think I did either.
Starting right now
Is it on
at
Facebook?
10 p.m. Eastern.
Hold up,
Yeah.
I'll pull it
10
up.
p.m. Eastern on,
Pull it up.
I've never heard of it, but the Speed Sport Network.
Oh yeah,
That's what they
The
put the
A-main
Nats
of
to, right?
Nitro. Yeah, the A-main of Nitro Buggy is being aired right now on live TV.
Yeah.
and on Amazon Prime in the future or something.
Yeah, I'm actually on my Amazon Prime looking to see if it's
Just the post. I don't know if
see
I
where it
can make
is.
it any bigger.
Because Alex, remember we were watching
talking
it,
about
and
that,
Krista
yeah.
was commenting, "Why isn't Live RC have advertisements on there?" And then we
Yeah.
heard Scotty say, "And we'll be cutting to
Commercial
whatever
break."
sports network."
Yeah. Yeah, for I don't know who else was listening to it. Scotty'd be like, "All right, and we're gonna go pay some bills and cut the commercial, and we're back." He'd be back within 5 seconds of him cutting the commercial, and it was Taylor said, "You can put it on TV," which is great. This is exactly what the hobby needs.
Yeah.
But I feel like with a better service, we can present a better film for people to enjoy.
I'm extremely happy to see whoever benefit a little bit financially from that event.
Oh
and
yeah,
advertise it.
definitely.
Yeah, it's good for the hobby.
No, I'm super stoked about this. Oh, so is that a Mayaka with lay down shocks that's on the cover picture too? Yeah. Yeah, that might be. Those are definitely lay down shocks of sorts. I don't know Cavalari's colors, but that's a whole nother
Yeah, it's
thing.
Cavallari.
Oh, yeah. It's even more interesting. Anywho's, that's, I think that's
It's a very high wing.
or is it just the shocks are that low, giving you
Good point.
a weird point of view? But I think that is what I have for hot takes around the Nats. In close of my hot takes. Well,
I got a couple more hot takes from the Roar event before we move on.
yeah, go ahead.
So, did you guys watch a couple of the lower mains or anyone else or no?
No, I did
No.
not.
So in one of the lower mains on the very last lap for the bump, it was Ethan Mechanic heading into a turn
Oh, with
and
Cole
Cole
Ogden.
Ogden
Yeah.
behind
And
him.
Cole Ogden T-boned him.
Yeah. When you kind of see it at first, it kind of looks like maybe Ethan went a little wide,
No.
but that was the race line.
Yeah.
And when you slow it down and you see Cole was going so fast he wasn't going to make that turn anyways at the speed that he was going. And
No.
Cole straight up just T-boned
Yep.
Ethan.
Never checked up.
And that was the last lap for the bump spot.
Yep.
Which kind of sucks, because obviously I'm rooting for one of our hometown heroes,
Yeah.
Ethan. So Ethan, if you're listening to this, man, I'm sorry.
And
that sucks.
Lefty, well, it was Pecco and Max that were on Ethan's side. If you haven't listened to episode 321 of No Name yet, I don't know if it'll be out on Spotify and whatnot by the time this drops. And if it's not, subscribe to the Patreon so you can listen to it. But they really dissected it very well, how watching the cars behind that kerfluffle were in the line Ethan took. So we can't sit here and say Mechanic went wide, he should have left room for Ogden. No. Ethan was in the line everyone else was using. Whether Ogden got loose and got a little inside or was trying to take him on the inside but got too far inside, either is possible. He should have hit the fucking brakes.
Yeah. The only way Ogden was taking that turn at that speed was using Ethan as a speed bump, which he did.
Yep, and it kind of weird to be the people's champ when you're running over people that don't tend to travel around.
I'm sorry, Cole, I don't know you, but I don't think you're anymore the people's champ.
Yeah.
I think the people do have a new champ. I forget who it was too.
Yeah, who is
I'm
the new
sorry.
champ?
Yeah.
Fill me in.
There's a couple of people though that are definitely up there.
No, yeah, and I'm sure we'll catch some flack from saying this. Sorry, Cole. Don't know you either, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're not the people's champ anymore.
Uh,
Other notable hot takes or hot cakes from this event. Fee no longer little bump versus Spencer Rivkin too. Fee literally bumped Rivkin twice off the track,
big bump.
which maybe deserved, in my opinion, from Spencer Rivkin for his actions in the past, especially to Ryan Lutz at the last Worlds event. So
Which in Fee said he was going to hold up, right? But then his dad told him not to, and then everything was fine. So because they had a referee there, right?
I don't have that answer. Do you guys?
All Rory events had to have people watching the race.
Right.
Okay.
So they have someone there, and I get it. I do the R&D thing. You can't see everything at the track. You know, you can't watch the whole track at once, no matter how many people you have with eyes on. I get it. Maybe they just plumb missed it. But in Fee's defense, if I have someone on my headset telling me to keep going, and it's the fucking Nats, I'm catching a paycheck, I'm gonna keep going. Which contradicts what we were saying about Cole, but
I seen him call a stop and go for somebody. I can't remember who it was when we were watching at the at LCRC in the pits on one of the days there.
no,
Toby had it up on his laptop,
Yeah.
and they were definitely calling stop and goes.
yeah, for sure.
So I would, in Fee's position, which I will never be, it's better to just bump somebody, keep going. I get it, and then wait for them to call a stop and go.
Yeah, and
When
I haven't seen a footage of that bumping too, so I don't know how aggressive or which way to put it was, other than bumping off the track.
the one that I can remember, it was on the left side of the track, and there's like a double, a long double, and when Fee jumped a little long, and it looked like he was trying to jump into the apex, and Rivkin was there and starting to check up for the turn, and Fee just landed it right there and kind of into Spencer's rear bumper and just shot him off the track. So
Yeah, that's a tough call.
yeah, it's tough to check up when you're in the air.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to check up, but you think at his level, maybe he can have the capability to predict, with my throttle input, I'm going to land right here where that car's going to be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, not defending, I'm not advocating. Different ways to play that. We weren't there.
It was just a little bump.
It was a big bump.
You guys got any other hot takes? The Shanes there from the event. For the
None
people that
really.
didn't watch it, Nitro Truggy was a very good race, and you can watch just the last 5 minutes. It was amazing.
Nitro Truck.
Nitro Truck A main.
I'll have to watch that.
Watch the last 5 minutes, dude. It's awesome.
Okay. Do you have any more hot takes from it?
I do not. That's all I got written down.
Well, I'd like to give Thornhill flowers. It seemed like, aside from my beef with the surface, which is again completely biased and ignorant, and my opinion, it seemed like Thornhill handled everything awesomely. Like, I heard great things. Roar did great. Love seeing Roar do good things. Scotty, as always, killed it on the mic for the broadcast. Congrats to B-Rose catching your first national champ, and congrats Fen for catching the rest of them and hanging in there in Nitro Buggy. That's all I got.
Before we wrap up everything, Alex, we kind of skipped over something, and I'm sorry if you're not ready for this, but do you want to talk about the slowest fast 3D printed parts that we have for sale?
Oh. That box is downstairs.
Okay.
So
Maybe another time.
maybe another time. We're still
Right.
we're still in the
At
process.
LCRC in a few weeks, come to Alex's table. We have
Yeah.
a bunch of new stuff
Yeah.
that we've been making.
Yeah, come bug me or Mike or
Like,
come bug any of the guys
you-
and they'll direct you.
yeah.
I thought you
we
guys
got-
were having a. I thought there was a production meeting before this.
There was.
There was.
There was. We didn't talk about this though. You know, we suck.
This,
at it.
this
Yeah.
actually wasn't talked
Yeah.
about in the production meeting.
Yeah.
We're still unprepared,
That's
even
in-
though we try to prepare.
That's in the sales meeting.
Like, so for example, if you use an M17, and,
Mike's really proud of this one.
I am very proud of this one. So if you use an M17 and you feel as if the 3 trigger, like, I don't know, thicknesses aren't thick enough, I have made thicker ones.
Shane, you might want
It's,
Yoder. You might want in on this for Gavin with his tiny little
yeah.
10-year-old fingers.
So it might be kind of hard to see, but they are printed. They're slightly thicker. One is like 1 mil thicker than the thickest one that it comes with, and the other one is like 2 mil thicker. They just take up the gap between going from throttle to brake. So have those. Test fit them today. They fit great. They feel good. But yeah, come by and check it out. It'll be on my radio. So
Also, for
That's-
M17, are we working on 3D printed plugs for the battery port?
yeah, not yet. I haven't even started yet, but eventually. So the back cover for your M17s, I'll be making a plate for that. That you guys can cut out, modify, put a clear piece of Lexan in there if you want, so you can see through it. Also in the works, and this is the latest version of it, is a custom front wing for Techno E-Trucks that I've
Focus.
trying to get
There it
focus.
is.
There we go. So I've been measuring it, cutting it out,
Bend it. Bend
And
it.
everything?
Bend it. Bend it. Show off
Oh,
the
yep,
goods.
and it does twist. It is very flexible, and just pops back.
That's
as
even
well
more
as
flexible than my
having-
prom date.
A proper spacer for the Techno to actually get it to sit right. So, working on a Kyosho version because I have a Kyosho readily available, just 2 blocks away from where I live. Current versions that are universal fit a lot of different cars, so you just put them on an AE today. This is a buggy front wing, so this fits a lot of cars right now. You just punch your own holes.
Also flexible,
Alex,
like Taylor's
Yep.
prom date.
Yep. Alex also made truggy tire spikes.
Oh, I got
And yeah. These are black, so I apologize, but so they're gonna be a little hard to see. But this here, droop block. So
Tire spike.
they come with stands. So these are 30 mil. We have 30 and 36 mil for your 10 scale and 8 scale needs. The new version of the shock stands that we're now just fully printing. They're lightweight, thin, break down completely flat, and fit in all your containers of storage that everyone uses. What else do I have readily available?
Glad Mike was ready.
Yeah. If you don't like this style droop block for travel and breakdown and whatnot, you do have the bigger blocks. 30 mil on one side, 36 mil on the other. Mainly the block style. I did make a wedge too, but I think the block's better. But new revamped wire things. I don't know. They clip on the 3 wires. They
Separators?
keep them spaced out. evenly.
Those
Yeah,
are
sure.
still in testing phase.
Yes, but we do have. They're in a different material right now, and they are holding up pretty well. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But hopefully by LCRC's next race, we'll have a better idea of material.
Yeah.
To hold up to the heat. But
Slow is fast tool holders.
is
I can't
fast.
tip mine because I
yeah,
got
that's the old one
stuff in
though.
there.
Alex has
Yes.
newer, nicer ones.
Yeah. The newer one fits shock pliers a little better and has a holder for your 17 millimeter hex wrench, which I need to revise again to properly fit be more universal for different wrenches.
Yes, I only get the old crappy
are-
hand-me-down stuff.
We're getting there.
These are camber gauges. So each side, it's 4 different degrees from 0 to -3, but each side is a different degree.
And if you like to run positive,
well.
you flip it upside down and run 0 to +3
Yes.
if you're weird.
Yep. So we have those. I think that's all I have sitting here. But
I think that's pretty much it.
I have the old toll stand, but I mean your newer ones are nicer and have more slots and better
Yeah.
slots.
And we do
And
A scale
buggy spikes as well.
Yeah.
So
buggy spikes.
yeah, buggy truggy.
I'm gonna clip this, so if anyone's interested in anything and you want it in a certain color, message the Facebook page, and we'll discuss your color you want. If I have it, I'll make it. We'll discuss prices, yada yada. Message the Facebook page if you're interested in anything.
Also, 2 upcoming events that we're going to both be at. Shout out to WCRC, July 5th,
Yep.
Firecracker Race. Then the next one will be the ProTech Cup at LCRC,
Yes, sir.
which is awesome. I love that event because it's got a pretty cool format. Alex, you're going to learn that format. Mike, you too. That'll be new to you guys. So
It sounds like a blast of a format. I'm really
It's pretty
stoked
cool.
for it.
It does. I'm excited.
Alex, you want to say anything about the WCRC coming up?
It's our annual firecracker race, July 5th. Josh is working on a new layout, so that'll be fun. I'm not sure what exactly he's cooking up. Usually does pretty good work, so it's gonna be a fresh layout.
AstroTurf?
No, not this time. Not this time around.
Concrete section?
No, not this
Yeah.
time around either.
Doesn't tell anybody, and we show up with dirt cars, and it's
Right.
AstroTurf.
It might be. I don't
Oh,
know.
man.
He did.
It's a boat
He
racing
did.
lake.
No. It won't be a lake because he dug the drain out. He got an excavator and he dug the drain out. He was doing that today.
Nice.
So I'll be on the mic. It's gonna be a fun time. If you're in the local area or you want to make a trip to a new track, WCRC New Florence, Pennsylvania, check it out on Facebook. Find the address. We'll be there.
Yoder's going to be there because he's going to be my pit guy.
Facts.
Yeah, we're gonna give that a whirl.
Taylor might be the only Nitro guy because Nitro rarely appears in our area. So
We can talk later. Just throw me in with you, Buggy. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll still do
yeah,
it. Stop.
yeah. We'll sort that out later.
Wait, Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor,
Yeah.
wasn't Shane talking about starting to run nitro?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Gavin's going to be in another class kicking my ass, which I'm trying to put off for as long as I can.
Oh.
Gavin, you're too fast. But I think Father Yoder wants to get his feet wet into pitting a little bit.
Oh, it's
Yeah, I
fun.
want to see what that's all about. So
It's.
I need
it's fun.
somebody else to start picking up the wrenches too. Give me a little more help in the pits, huh? Yeah, you.
Hey,
How were the
Gavin,
fireworks,
you-
Gavin?
Good.
They're good.
Good.
I'm just saying, Gavin. I have an extra
good.
Makita I can bring to the track. You can.
I couldn't see most of them because there's trees in the way.
Did your mom spray you with bug spray? Yeah, I can smell you.
Is that it? Got anything else?
Alex, you don't have it in your possession, or you do? I do. Is it on your printer? The battery holder?
I don't know where it is. It's somewhere on my property.
Okay. So I don't have a picture of it, and we don't have it physically in my hands. But also made a for all of you with 2 cells stick packs. I made a little holder for you guys to organize your batteries on your table. So once we get one printed and in our hands, I'll be able to show it to you.
Yeah.
So
Big things. Doing big things.
So we want to say our goodbyes. Thank everybody.
Yeah, Shane's. Start with Shane Laucks. Thank anyone? Shout out anyone?
I want to thank you guys for having me on. It's
Aw.
been a pleasure. Um, yeah, I'm glad you didn't get to see. Well, I I
Go
kind of
on.
feel bad you did not get to see the show that was here, but
Is that why you
hopefully,
were so
like I said,
distracted?
yeah, I was a little distracted
That's why his
earlier.
mic kept going mute. Well,
Yoders?
Anybody you want to thank?
Alright. You, Pat, Maddie, and sometimes Mom, and this podcast.
Sometimes, Mom.
Sometimes, Mom.
We'll edit that part.
I'm surprised Maddie got it.
I don't know. That's a really good reel right there.
Maddie got to thank before sometimes, Mom.
Yeah.
What is it you're thanking your sister for, Gavin?
She cleans the tires in the car sometimes.
That's nice.
more than I do. Mike?
Yeah. Well, first off, like we said earlier, I just want to thank everybody for actually watching these and you guys coming up and saying you like them, enjoy them. It makes us want to keep doing this. So, yeah, no, just thanks to everyone that's watching right now, honestly. So,
Extremely humbling when people let us know how much they enjoy the podcast and they use their time to listen to us. So thank you guys. I'll shout out Mugen Siki and LCRC, Mike Treharn, MT Designs, Paint Jobs, Bodywork. Hey, speaking of bodywork,
Oh,
after
boy.
my Truggy main, I had a big dent because somebody jumped on top of me. Was it Treharn that pounded that out? Speaking of that, was he now my body guy? Were any of you guys there at my pit?
No, I was in the booth.
I don't know.
Oh, all right. Somebody fixed my dent for me, and I was like, now he's my body guy too. So I think so. So thank you, Mike, if that was you.
I want to piggyback everyone else for thanking everyone that listens, and especially everyone that, again, walks up to us and says, hey, I listen to the podcast, or hey, you're on the like. That's the coolest thing to me. Like, please keep doing that. I'm sorry if I get all weirded out or I act funny when people do that. I get weird anxiety at weird times, and that's one of them because I can't believe people like listening to us talk. But it's
Same here.
It's the coolest thing ever. So we appreciate everyone that listens, and especially appreciate the people that walk up to us and say they like it, and anyone that helps give us feedback, good or bad. We're always looking to improve, know what we're doing good or what we can improve on. So, outside of that, of course, I want to thank Tony and Colleen down at ACS. I will have more stickers. I just gave another set of stickers to 412. So, Stottleman at 412 has a bunch of stickers. I'll have stickers at WCRC, and I will make sure I have them at LCRC. I might need to get more by then. The cool kid thing to do is put them on your wing of your 8 scale. So, make sure you get 2. And thank our guests for being on. Last chance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, that has been episode 17
17.
of the Slowest Fast RC podcast. And remember to keep it between the pipes, keep it on its wheels, and guess, what do we say?
Slow as fast.
Bingo!
Hey.
Goodbye!